Dentistry is a people business, so we really depend on those interactions to help people be comfortable, and we can't really help people if we're not connecting. And if we can connect with people, then we can totally change their lives. We can take someone who's lost their confidence, someone who's been dealing with pain for years, and we can change everything for them.
Welcome to Henderson HQ. This is the podcast where you get all the stories behind the businesses that make our community tick. Don't forget to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Scott Groves with the Henderson HQ podcast and newsletter. I'm here with actually a friend since I think we moved to Vegas, dentist, Dr. Mark Edington, and he's my dentist. He lives here locally in Henderson. Technically, his office is just a little outside of Henderson, but they do such a great job. I think it's totally worth driving there for your dental care. And I wanted to interview him because we've had some friends that have had some medical issues with their dentistry. I've learned more about dentistry over the last couple of years just by being your friend. You've got this really cool, I can't even imagine how much the machine cost that made the crown for my tooth. Yeah. When last Halloween, I decided to snap off the top of one of my teeth. And
machine,
yeah, that thing is awesome.
It's amazing.
So what you guys are doing there is great on the dentistry side. But what was really interesting to me for business owners that aren't interested in opening a dental practice is I texted you and your wife the first time I went to your office, and I was like, you have the best staff of any medical office I've ever been to. I don't know if you are really good at hiring or training, or if you or your wife crack the whip or whatever happens, but like everybody there is congenial and happy, and I filled everything out online, and I didn't have to fill out these stupid forms in triplicate on paper. I was so happy with the experience. So I want to have you in to talk a little bit about like building a business, dentistry, and like how you've built this great culture at your office, because I know that stuff doesn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your journey.
Thanks for that introduction. I appreciate the compliments, and my team is really what makes our office great. I have to look at where I'm strong and where I'm weak, and I find people that fill in where I'm weak, and they're good at things that I'm not good at, and I see my assistants as professionals. And a lot of offices, dental assistants are treated like they just suck and spit. And they're not really part of the team. And in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, efficiency standpoint, and from a patient care standpoint to not fully utilize what my assistants are legally allowed to do. And so wherever they're allowed to do something, I'm going to train them and help them to grow in their careers and help our patients out. So yeah, I love that the team's involved in everything, and there's a good vibe in our office.
But it's more than that. Even your front desk gal who has nothing to do with dentistry, she's just like, she's the appropriate amount of comical, right? It's like, she's fun, but not like so funny you feel uncomfortable because you're coming in for medical care, but she just like lightens the mood. They call me and say, hey, just want to let you know you changed jobs. Right. So we called your new job and updated your insurance card. I'm like, oh, usually that's like 7 calls back and forth between my dental office or my physician's assistant, who I've since fired because she doesn't run her office like you. And it's just a different vibe. So did you accidentally find the right people? Do you have like a training protocol? Something is different there.
I'm attracted to certain types of personalities, and my wife, I like the wild ones. And that's a double-edged sword. I have to make sure that not only am I employing people that help create that vibe, that good energy that makes patients feel comfortable, but also be able to train and to have conversations behind closed doors that help keep things running smoothly. Because it's personalities that are big personalities, that are fun personalities. They don't want to be constrained by rules. They don't want to be cleaning up. Like, they want to talk to people, and it's a people business. Dentistry is a people business. So we really depend on those interactions to help people be comfortable. Because if they're not comfortable, if they don't trust us, if they can't relate to us, then they're not going to want to have any care taken care. And we can't really help people if we're not connecting. And if we can connect with people, then we can totally change their lives. I mean, dentistry is pretty amazing, where we can take someone who's lost their confidence, someone who's been dealing with pain for years, and we can change everything for them. We have people that they come in, they're embarrassed, they won't smile, they won't show us their teeth, they don't even want to see pictures of their teeth, but we can transform their smile, and next thing you know, they've got better personal relationships, they're dating. We've got patients that have gotten engaged, gotten married, and patients that have got better jobs, and it's pretty cool to make that impact on people. It's really really fun to do that for people.
What is, like, if you had to quantify it somehow, I don't even know if you can, it's like a certain percentage bedside manner and like being able to talk to your people and talk them through what you're doing, you know, because my mouth is like, I don't know, wedged wide open when you're in there. So I can't give you really any feedback. So how much of it is like technical skills? Like I went to dentistry and I know how to do this with this tooth versus like bedside manner of being able to develop that trust.
I would say it's equally important. I mean, like half 50-50. You want a percentage 50-50. If I can't get the patient's trust, they're going to be more, their facial muscles are going to be more tense. I'm not going to be able to get in and take care of the problem. Of course, we do offer sedation for people that they just chemically need to be relaxed.
Right.
But you have to be able to relate to the patient. You have to and a lot of offices don't, and they lose patients and they are not able to do the level of care that we do in our office. Not all dental offices are the same.
Yeah, I noticed that because when I was in LA, I went to what I can only imagine as like a corporate entity, right? Because everything looked the same and it was very sterile. And the people were like, okay, can I make your next appointment, please? You should see us again in 6 months. And I'm like, I might as well be talking to a robot. But like we go to your place and there's pictures of your family on the wall and like there's your little catalog of education. And like I said, the people are so more personable. So I don't feel free not to share if it's none of my business. But are you owned by somebody else or do you own the dental practice or how's that?
I own Modern Dental Care. I own our practice. I'm the sole owner. I do have an associate, Dr. Fuglar, who
she's awesome.
She's amazing.
We talk about Pokemon cards every time I'm in there.
You brought up personality. She's got lots of personality and it's important to connect. And I love that helps me out. And she's my partner in crime in the office. So yeah,
So what's the difference between like you being like the personal owner and it really being, even though it's called modern dentistry, modern dental care, sorry. It's still your name on the check. It's your name on the marquee. How does that, like, how do you have to show up differently versus like some large corporate owned healthcare system?
Well, I mean, it's my office, which means I can't just get out of it. I can't leave the office and go to a different location. If I screw things up, I'm going to be dealing with my own problems. So if I do something that's not up to par, then I will be seeing it and I will be repairing it myself. And I can't just leave. With a corporate office, you're kind of behind layers it's almost like a bureaucracy of layers where you're hidden behind a system and it becomes less personal and you're really not as accountable as the provider. And it's much easier in that situation to make ethical excuses for choices that you make. I think in a private office, it's the opposite. The ethics are driven home by it being part of who you are, and that office represents who I am. So if a patient has a bad experience, I take it very personal because it represents who I am, and I want to make sure that patients feel like we're friendly, we're ethical, we're honest, we're going to take care of their needs, and we're going to do it in a very competent way. So to me, it's very personal. And I did work for corporations for about 6 years before starting Modern Dental Care, which was about 20 years ago. And it's a very, very different type of practice, very different style of practicing.
You've been around 20 years?
Modern Dental Care has been around for about 20 years. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's funny. I was sitting in the chair and like knowing that you're
exactly 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Okay. Sitting in that dental chair and kind of looking around, like X-ray machine, that little CAD machine there that makes my fillings. I'm like, there's like $4 million worth of equipment in here or something.
Expensive.
So can you talk a little bit about that journey of becoming a business owner and like your name's on the check, your name's on the lease agreements with all this equipment? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze or is it like a lot of extra stress?
When I graduated, which was about 27 years ago, as you can imagine, I looked a lot younger 7 years ago, and having a baby face, I could either use that as a strength, like marketing wise, I can use that as a strength, or I can use it see it as a weakness. And I decided I've got to use whatever I've got as a strength. I looked really young at that time, and so it was all about being modern, on trend. We've got the latest technology. And so I made the investment in both the continuing education. I made the investment in all the latest equipment. And I'm going to be the guy that has the technology. I'm going to do things better. It's going to be updated. We're not old school. So now that I've had that technology and technology continues to change over time, I've kept up to date on that technology, keeping with the modern theme. But really, it's all about what would I want if I was sitting in a chair? How do I make things more efficient for the patients? They don't want to sit there for hours for something that could be done more efficiently. With the CEREC machine, we can do a same-day crown, and it's done. That's like when you came in for your visit, you had a crown done, and you left, and it was over. Like that crown is cemented, and it's done. You don't have to come back in the traditional way if you were getting a porcelain restoration, you have to have the tooth prepared. You leave with a temporary plastic restoration. 3 weeks later, you're coming back in for another appointment to be numbed up again, take the temporary off, and then place the final crown. That process of 3 weeks can be cut down to one appointment in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, I was shocked because I have had a few crowns before, and I'm like, oh, here we go. I got to go here. They're going to measure the thing. Then they're going to send it out to some factory that makes it. Then it's not going to fit correctly. Then I got to drive all the way back over here too. And you're like, no, I'll have this done in a few minutes. And I was like, what do you mean a few minutes? They're like, oh yeah, I got this little shaving machine thing back there that'll make it for you. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is how modern dental care should be. Right. Like, I show up and everything's taken care of.
And that's one of those things that you were mentioning at my team and the vibe. That's one of the things that makes the vibe good in our office is my assistants are part of that whole thing. They're using that technology to help create. They're acting as lab technicians, and they're creating the in-office lab work according to my specifications. And of course, I see it, I prove it before it gets cemented in the mouth, but it's all done custom and I've got control. Whereas if I send it out to a lab, I don't know who's making it. I don't know how they're making it. I don't have control over the design, and it comes back and there's pressure because the patient's already waited 3 weeks to just go ahead and cement it. The great thing, if I do it right there and right then, if there's a problem, I can remake it right then and make sure it fits exactly the way I want it to fit. Everything looks pretty and functions properly. So we have more control.
So I can remember going into dental offices, either as a teenager or in my 20s, and it looks like something out of a 1970s sitcom, right? It looks like Three's Company or something like that. The couches, I don't know, still have like plastic coverings over whatnot. Again, sticking with that modern theme. How often are you having to upgrade your equipment, right? Because I think a lot of business owners look at like, okay, I made the investment, I built out the thing, whether it's a subway or a warehouse or whatever, but it's like, times change pretty quickly. Technology changes pretty quickly. Like, how often do you have to reevaluate all your equipment to make sure, like, oh yeah, we're still on pace to be modern?
That's a good question. I mean, you look at your iPhones, look at all the technology, and how like it comes out every year or two, and there's another brand or there's an upgrade, and it's the same thing in dentistry. These companies know how to just release just enough to make you want it. And I want the stuff,
right?
And I make the investment. Every one or 2 years, we make an investment in new technology, significant investments to keep updated on everything that we use.
I want to talk about marketing a little bit because I think any service business, like you can have the greatest product, you can be the greatest dentist in the world, but if you can't generate leads and find clients, like, oh well, you're out of business in 6 months. So maybe, now I know you have a big reoccurring book of business and obviously you've been around 20 years. Can you think back to being like newly in Vegas, newly opening your own business, and like what that was like to build clients or maybe, marketing avenues that worked for you?
I had no clue what I was doing. When you graduate from dental school, there is no business. Unless you did it as an undergrad, you're not getting training on business in dental school. They should. I don't know why. It's an important part of delivering medical care. You have to be able to understand business in order to do what you want to do for people. You want to help people out. You can't help anyone that's not there.
Right.
You got to get them in the building. So yes, it was a huge challenge when I opened Modern Dental Care. The first location that we opened, we're in our second location, but it's the same business, but just moved.
Right.
But in that first location, it was definitely a challenge finding the right people, and it was all about location, signage, and relationships. So I used my personal relationships, leveraged those to let people know, hey, I'm open. And people were excited to come to someone that they know. I mean, no one wants to... Going to a dentist is very personal. It's very intimidating. And you don't know who's going to screw you over. That's what people think. Most dentists are ethical, but you also don't know who's competent. And there are ethical dentists that just aren't competent. They try. Their hands just don't do what you want them to do. You want things to be precise. You don't want to have problems. You don't want to be redoing work if you don't have to. And I was able to get the word out that, hey, I'm competent. I got the technology. We've got a good location, and the signage drove people in. We were pretty busy within the first year. That's awesome. The first 6 months were ramping up to that 1 year period where we finally were fully busy.
Yeah, I've seen your calendar when I'm like peering over the shoulder of your receptionist. I'm like, oh, they're booked pretty solid. Yep. But it's got to be terrifying in that first 6 months when like you've got all the bills coming in and like the calendar looks a little empty.
Yeah, it is terrifying, but I was too dumb to know the difference. So
There's a lot of benefits to being young, right? You don't know,
not knowing a lot about business sometimes help you. Like I was confident, like I can do anything. I can do this. I can start a business, and I didn't know all of the traps that lied in front of me. And then sometimes ignorance is bliss, and I didn't know what I didn't know, which really helped me to take the plunge and make the decisions that needed to be made, and just have confidence that I can do this. I'll figure it out. And it took a lot of team members, and the first year we ran through a lot of different people to find the right fit for who had skills that could help me to build what I wanted to build with modern dental care.
Yeah. It's funny. You mentioned, I love this idea of like location, signage, relationship. Obviously, either the signage or the CRM marketing or whatever other crazy stuff that you've done to get people in the door, that matters for the first appointment.
Right.
If you don't build a relationship with them, good luck. They're never coming back again. So can you talk about, for business owners, like maybe some of the strategic stuff you're doing to like build a relationship, follow up, get them in as repeat clients? Because what's beautiful is like you have a repeat client model where you're actually helping. You're not just trying to sell them some BS upgrade. It's like, no, you really do need your teeth cleaned every 6 months for like medical issues, right? Like I've read a bunch of stuff that like there's certain markers of heart disease that are linked to like having bad dental care. And it's like a whole inflammation. Yeah. Inflammation. There we go.
There's inflammatory markers in your bloodstream that can be tested to show inflammation. C-reactive protein is one of those inflammatory chemicals that can be related to heart disease. And it's been proven that treatment of periodontal disease reduces those inflammatory chemicals that are in your bloodstream. So yeah, absolutely. We at those 6-month appointments, we're checking for gum health, and gum disease is very prevalent. Over 70% of Americans have some form of gum disease, starting with gingivitis, which is just basic swelling of the gums and some bleeding, all the way down to periodontitis, which is where you start to have gum pull away from the root surface of the teeth, and you can start to lose teeth. So there's this process that people used to think was normal, where teeth are eventually, when you get old and you end up in dentures. That's just people thought
you get long in the tooth, right?
Right. Long, right. I haven't heard that phrase in a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Maybe that basic got. So yeah, there's at some point people expected you're going to be in dentures. That was just considered normal. And we now know that we can prevent that deterioration of gum health and the need for tooth removal and the need for dentures. And we're still getting that message out. There's still a lot of people that don't understand that, don't know that. And it takes a lot of education to help people understand, hey, if you prevent these problems, it's a lot cheaper to maintain healthy teeth than to deal with gum disease that's caused loss of teeth, which then you have to bridge, and then a partial denture, and then a full denture, and then dental implants. It's very expensive to deal with the consequences of neglect in dentistry, and that's why those 6-month appointments are crucial.
Do you have any idea like what percentage of Americans, and I'm not talking about people that can't afford it because there's a lot of unfortunate people in the country, but like people that can afford it and or have health insurance that just don't go to the dentist because they're scared, they don't make it a priority? Like how many people might be listening to this podcast where it's like, dude, you can afford it and you might even have health insurance to cover it, but you just don't go. Yeah. Is there a large cross section of Americans that like don't get dental care?
I've heard it's somewhere around 50% that don't get any dental care until it's absolutely necessary. And patients like that, they'll come in, they're 60 years old, they've never seen a dentist, and their mouth is swollen, or their neck is swollen, or their eye is bulging, and it's related to dental infections that have spread massively. And,
people won't come in until like their eye socket is getting swollen because they have dental infections.
Yeah, it's not uncommon to see that. Yes, the eye can get swollen right underneath your eye. If you have a canine tooth that becomes infected at the root, yes, it can swell into the space around your eye. This is what we call the danger triangle, the space between your nose and your eye and your cheekbone. That triangle right there, if there's swelling in that area, it means that you have an infection that could spread into the spaces around your brain. There's a cavernous sinus that is connected with the brain. In medieval times, that was number 1, number 2 cause of death was dental. It was listed in the records as the cause of their death was dental. We don't see that anymore because when people get that kind of swelling, it's extremely painful. So they do seek medical attention, and we can treat that with the miracle of antibiotics.
Oh my goodness. So like, it's funny because I've just, since I was a kid, right? My mom had challenges with her teeth. So it's like every 6 months you're going to the dentist like clockwork. Like this is just ingrained in me. And when I came up here, I think one of the first things I found was a dentist. But how far gone do you see people in their dental? I can't imagine being 60 and walking into the dentist for the first time. Like, do you just see the most disgusting mouth rot in the world?
We do. We have recently we've had people that have just come out of their basements from COVID and they've been holding up for this whole time. And we're like, whoa, they're walking in with gloves on and they got the mask and they're scared. They've been living in fear. And one of the biggest fears is fear of dentistry. I think it's listed, I read a survey that said the number one fear is fear of heights. The number two fear is public speaking. Number three fear was dental care, dentistry. So it's a pretty common fear. When people come to me and they say that they're scared of the dentist, I tell them, well, you're in good company. It's pretty normal. I mean, I would be worried about someone that has absolutely no fear and they have a mouthful of problems.
Right.
Usually if there's no fear at all, they don't have any problems. And so they're not scared because they don't have any problems. Their mouth is extremely healthy. But fear of the dentist is very, very common and it's something that I'm trained to help people with. I have a certificate with Dental Organization for Conscious Sedation. And we do what we call anxiety-free appointments. So we'll give people medication the night before so they get a good night's rest. And then we'll give them medication in the office to help them relax so that they can get their care taken care of. And when people haven't seen the dentist in a long time, the problems are severe and it requires extractions and it requires deep cleanings and it requires a lot of work. So
I think this is why your team thinks I'm such a freak because I go in there and I'm so used to it. Like this has just been ingrained in me since I was a child. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like saw it out. I don't care. Like drill, I'm like drill baby drill, right? Or like I'm like Trump or something. And they kind of just look at me. They're like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, put some fake killer in there. But just get this done. I got a lunch appointment at 1 o'clock." And they're like, kind of weird, man. Like most people don't just say like, yeah, dig in. But I don't know.
Well, and that's where the connection is so important because most people they're not enjoying it. And we try to make a different experience than what they've had elsewhere. Like your typical medical office, it's not enjoyable. When you go in for a medical appointment, you're waiting for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Or more sometimes. And when you go in for a medical appointment, they're not going to tell you what you owe. You're just going to get a statement in the mail from some third-party biller. And you're like, okay, it would have been nice if you explained this to me. In dentistry, fortunately, there's enough competition and there's private offices like mine that still are surviving that have driven a different level of care. And so we don't make people wait. We explain things before they get care. We go over any costs associated with the treatment and patient remains in control of everything that's done. Which is scary to not be in control when it's your mouth, it's so personal.
Yeah, it's funny. There's actually a ER, which is weird. It's like a standalone ER on, I think it's St. Rose Parkway.
Yeah.
They kind of operate as like an urgent care / ER, way more expensive. But I always tell my wife, take the kids there or take me there because they will see you in 10 minutes. Right. You're not sitting there. I don't have to fill out 18 forms in triplicate and try to remember what my kid's social security number is. It's just like, it's super dialed in. And when I think of that place, I think of your place. One of the things that you have up on the wall and kind of some of the awards that you've gotten evolve around cosmetics, right? Like actually making people look better. I'm guessing that's veneers and Invisalign and stuff like that.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the cosmetic side of what you do? Because obviously people need good teeth health.
Right.
You should get to see Dr. Edington here if it's been a while since you had a checkup or a cleaning. But like I know you guys do a lot of cosmetic stuff for like, I guess vanity, right?
Yeah, well, no.
Okay.
No, there is a vanity component. I mean, I get a thrill out of helping people look their best and get their confidence back. So if you consider it vain to have your confidence, to be able to get your career promoted or your relationships changed, I guess that's vanity, but I wouldn't categorize it as vanity. But more often it really is dental health because when you have a perfect 10 healthy smile, typically it's also an awesome looking smile. So aesthetics usually follow health. So my goal is really improve the alignment of the teeth, improve the color of the teeth, and if necessary, improve the shape of the teeth. So I help patients get exactly what they want. One of our missions is to help patients get a perfect 10 smile. Now that doesn't mean everyone's going to come in and get orthodontics and veneers. It means that I'm going to work with them to get what they want out of the appointment, and I'm going to listen and help them understand what we can accomplish, and then they have the opportunity to accept or reject that treatment. But I would never make assumptions about anyone that they wouldn't be interested in cosmetics. I would. I want my teeth to look good. I want them to be healthy, and so I would expect that if I were to go to a provider, that they would tell me everything that's needed to have that perfect 10 healthy smile. And so that's one of the reasons we do so much cosmetics, is because my philosophy is to not make any judgments on our patients, but just to assume that they want the best, explain what that is. And if they want it, great. If they have doubts, if it doesn't fit their budget, then we can go over alternatives. But I always want to provide the best.
I think about my sister. I got lucky. I guess my teeth were straight enough. I never needed braces, or maybe my parents could afford it. I don't know. But my sister, when she got braces, it's cement and it's a mouthful of wire and it's rubber. I mean, it looked like an erector set in there, right? And now I look at the stuff that you guys do, and it's like, it's a plastic tray. Wear this thing for however long it takes, and then upgrade to this plastic tray, and then upgrade to. How far has the technology come? Like,
it's pretty amazing.
In my very short lifetime of 46 years, like how much? Because you've been doing this for 27 years. How much have you seen the technology change, and how much better is that for the end client in the chair?
Well, I was one of the first Invisalign providers in Las Vegas over 20 years ago. And at that time, Invisalign has evolved so much since that time. It used to be those yucky impressions that are in your mouth to get a model of your mouth, which was sent to the lab. It would take a month or more to get anything back. And then when you had something back, you would have aligners that were this hard plastic, and that plastic would have to be worn for 2 weeks for each set. And it was uncomfortable.
Right.
And now we no longer do that old school impression. We take digital scans. So we use a camera and take pictures of the teeth. Those pictures are actually digital measurements of the teeth, and that those digital measurements get sent to Invisalign. They send us back immediately what's called a clean check. It's a video showing what we can accomplish as far as teeth straightening. So you have the opportunity to view exactly what your teeth will look like with the straightening process. And then we have aligners sent to us. The aligners are now with a more flexible type of plastic. They are clear, they're comfortable, they're removable, and they're faster than braces. So very few adults are straightening with old school metal brackets and wires anymore. You won't see that very often. When I first started doing orthodontics, it was common actually at that time to see adults starting to do braces, because finally they have the finances to be able to take care of their smile that their parents weren't able to do when they were teenagers.
Right.
But we've now evolved to the point where it's very few adults that are now going into brackets and wires for orthodontics. And now most people that are interested in aligning and improving their smiles, they're going with Invisalign because it's clear, it's comfortable, and it's removable. It's so much better and faster, which is pretty cool.
Karina did it before we moved here to Vegas, and I was shocked how quickly it happened. Cause she had one tooth that was just like, she used to get really mad at me because I'd be like, what's up with that one like snaggle tooth there? She's like, God damn it, why are you making fun of me? But she did that Invisalign, I don't know, a few months. And other than like the one time she threw her brace or whatever it's called away on a food tray or something, it was so seamless, and it worked extremely fast. And I'm like, This one canine down here was like at like a 45-degree angle, and it fixed it. It's never been a problem again. Pretty crazy. And to your point, you were mentioning the little camera system. I grind my teeth horribly, so I had gotten a mouth guard about 4 years ago before I started coming to you. And same thing, they put that gross goo in your mouth that makes you feel like you're going to choke. And then 3 weeks later, I'd come back and they had to file it down or something like that. And when your girl made mine, she's like, here, stick this camera in your mouth. And I was like, okay. And then she's like, yeah, I'm just taking a 3D print of your mouth and I'll have this out in a few minutes. I was like, what? This is the way dental care should work.
Right. Yeah. It's really incredible. And those scanners have gotten better. Like told you that technology keeps evolving because those companies are constantly coming up with something new to make it a little bit better to encourage us to spend more money on that equipment.
Of course.
But it's coming out with better, faster, and more comfortable for the patient. And that's just changed things so much in dentistry. And for our office, we do so much Invisalign. We're actually the number one Invisalign provider in the entire state of Nevada for general dentists. So there's no general practitioners that have more experience than our office at Modern Dental Care, which is pretty cool. And
awesome.
And that efficiency of knowing what we're doing and knowing how to treat different problems makes things so much more comfortable for our patients, because we're using the best technology, which makes things streamlined, efficient, fast, and they're getting the results that they need. And we know what to do when there are problems, and we're staying in control. It's not like Invisalign's doing all the work. They send the doctor, myself, they send me the 3D virtual plan of what's going to be accomplished, and I have to tweak that plan according to what I know is going to work for that patient or according to what their goals are. For example, if someone has very small teeth with large gaps, well, if we just completely close the gaps, they're going to have a weird looking smile. We might want to leave some small gaps and then add to build into those gaps with resin or with porcelain to create the ideal smile. So it has to be thought through with a cosmetic eye. And unfortunately, a lot of people that are doing orthodontics don't have that cosmetic eye, and they don't know what they're trying to achieve with the final result other than put the teeth close together.
I want to talk about a mutual friend of ours who I did ask his permission, so there is no inappropriate disclosure here of medical history. But a friend of ours who also goes to your dentistry was in small town Colorado, didn't have access to modern technology, and they had missed for several years this massive cyst that was underneath, I think a wisdom tooth that never healed correctly, or a root canal gone wrong or something like that. And he goes to jiu-jitsu with this. He came into jiu-jitsu. He's like, oh man, I'm out for like 3 months. And I'm like, why? He's like, I have a giant hole in the bone of my jaw right now because there was a cyst in there. And Mark had to send me over to a dental surgeon. They had to dig it all out, put a bone graft and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, none of that sounds good. And then we were talking about it before we went live, and you said, stuff like that can be really bad if you don't have access to this modern technology to like scan, x-ray, all that stuff. Can you talk a little bit about what happened and like what?
Right. I mean, you were mentioning earlier about the 6-month recalls, like coming back in regularly to the dentist for your cleanings. We're not just cleaning your teeth. When you come in for those appointments, we're looking for problems that we can solve so that you have a lifetime of healthy smiles. And yes, sometimes those problems are big and they can even be life-threatening. Oral cancer is one of those things that is life-threatening. And if you do have oral cancer, the typical lifespan is 5 years. So about 50% of patients that are diagnosed with oral cancer don't survive past 5 years. So it is something that if we catch it early, we can completely remove it. And so when we see lesions in the jaw, we take them very seriously. Oral cancer is very deadly, and it's even more common than ovarian cancer and some other cancers that get more popularity or they get more support. Oral cancer is deadly, and typically it comes from history of smoking, family history, or chewing tobacco, and it can lead to a lot of damage in the jawbone. And in this particular case that you were saying, fortunately, it was a benign cyst, but it still had to be removed because that cyst had created such a large cavern in the jaw that the jaw was losing functional strength and was susceptible to a fracture. Of course, if your jaw is fracturing and losing bone, that's not good for your health. Your mouth is critical for nutrition. Your mouth is critical for communication. Your mouth is critical for breathing. And people forget that it's part of your body. Just because dentistry is separated from medicine, it's still your body. It's not like we're clipping fingernails here. Your teeth are integrated with your body in an intimate way. They are organs of your body, and they do have nerves and blood vessels, and they're connected with bone and gum. And it's critical for your health that you treat them with the respect that you would treat the rest of your body.
Yeah. Cause I know, he was a little freaked out when he was telling me about it. He was like, whoa, I'm going to be off the mats. Like if I would have let this gone another 6 or 12 months and somebody cross-faced me in jiu-jitsu, or I fell on the mat and hit my jaw, I might have my mouth wires shut for a couple months.
Yeah. I mean, especially an athlete, that's a huge problem. And so when I saw the problem, I was scared for him, and I communicated immediately with an excellent oral surgeon, Dr. Steve Wong, and sent him over. Like, I text him. The specialist that I work with, I like to have a good personal relationship, so I just text him the picture. I'm like, hey, what do you think? And he was like, send him to me, or let's take a look at it. And they did a biopsy. It was a multi-stage process, of multi-surgery to graft bone into the area, to remove a wisdom tooth that was next to the cyst, get it all out. And he's now healed after those 2 surgeries, and we're doing the follow-up, but reconstructing the jawbone so that he can live a normal life. If that cyst were to continue to grow, and if his jaw were to fracture, he wouldn't be living a normal life.
Right.
A fractured jaw that doesn't have the bone support necessary would require even more extensive reconstruction than what we're doing now, and it would severely impact him to the point where he couldn't function as a healthy athlete. And so, yeah, it's so critical that people have their oral health evaluated and have the proper diagnostic x-rays and the professionalism. The equipment is not just because I want to buy the latest thing. It's because I want to help people. I want to help them avoid these problems that could really damage their health.
Yeah. I want to switch back over to the business side for a little bit. Just having run your own business now for 20 something years, what have been some of like the biggest highlights and some of the biggest surprises where you're like, oh man, if I could do that over again?
Yeah. So running a business.
Yeah. Running the business.
Yeah. I guess the biggest surprise was actually getting into dentistry, because I had a really naive idea of what dentistry was like. And my impression of dentistry was probably what a lot of the public thinks, like, oh, it's a good, clean job. You're in a air conditioned office, and you're not doing like any heavy labor. It is heavy labor. Dentistry is very physical work. And one of the other things that was surprising is how difficult it is to manage a team and to keep everyone together and working united towards the same goal. And it's a huge challenge, and it requires a lot of leadership. It requires a lot of listening. And those are skills that I've had to develop over the years to learn how to listen.
Wait, they didn't teach you how to be a leader in dental school? There wasn't like leadership 101?
No. No, in fact, when I graduated dental school, I expected some respect. And I worked for these corporations where I wasn't getting any respect. And I'm the new guy. I had the baby face, but I wanted to be called doctor. It's Dr. Mark Edington. And now I'm the complete opposite. Just please call me Mark. I don't need any professional titles. Like,
right.
I've realized that you can't demand respect. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished in your life. No one cares. No one cares. It's how you treat them. Like, what can you do for me?
Right.
That's what we're all wired to know. Like, if you can help me, I respect you.
Right.
You care about me, I respect you. You treat me well, I respect you. If someone doesn't treat you well, they don't care about you, they're not communicating well, you're not going to have the respect that's needed for a professional relationship. So yeah, that's something that I've had to learn over the years. That's what comes with experience. I didn't have that 20 years ago.
Right.
And I've been able to learn, okay, I need to earn respect, not only from my patients, but also from my team. I have to listen. I have to respond. I can't let problems fester, and I have to be direct, and I can't, pussyfoot around issues that need to be addressed. The elephant in the room, so to speak. I have to help make the vibe better. And that's where the good attitudes, the positive vibes come into play, when the team feels like they're working together. We have the same goal. They care about the same things I care about, and they want the same things for our patients.
Yeah.
And we're all on the same page, and things can be a lot looser. If we're not on the same page, it gets really tense. And I don't like that. I don't like picking up on that tension. I don't like negative feelings. So keeping things positive really comes down to staying focused on the same goals. And we have a set of core values that unites us. So it's important that
they're on the wall.
Yeah, they're on the wall. We have this list of core values that it's important to us. And we all agree, if I hire someone, it's based on those core values. And if I have to let someone go, it's because they're not a fit for what we value.
I love that. You with your education, I know you went to college back east, right?
I went to Brigham Young University in Utah, and then I went to Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay. You could have opened your practice anywhere. Like, what drew you to Vegas, and then more specifically live in Henderson and be like a member of the community and a member of your church, and your son goes to our school, and like it's just been great getting to know your family. Like, why Vegas?
Well, I grew up here, so Vegas is home for me, and I love the desert. My family's here, and I've got friends here, and I enjoy living here. So when I had the opportunity to come back, I decided I'm coming back to Nevada, and I set up shop in an area south of where I lived as a child in Silverado Ranch. I used to live on Windmill and Eastern.
Okay.
There's an old horse neighborhood right there, and that's where I grew up. But my office is not far from there, and it's just home for me. Vegas is home, and so I'm here to be part of the community. I'm not here to make money off people. I'm here to make a difference, and I like being part of the community. I have friends here, and I value loyalty and relationships that endure, and that's where having a private office really helps me facilitate those relationships. I mean, it's fun to see people that you haven't seen for a while, and they pop up into the office, and I get to see old friends because they keep coming to me, in my office, and I get to reconnect, and I enjoy that part of it's a people business. I enjoy that.
Are you on like second, third generation of family now? Like friends that you knew here, their kids and their kids' kids. Like,
yeah, it is fun to see people grow up, and sometimes I don't even recognize. Like I have kids that grew up. I mean, I've been in practice at Modern Dental Care for 20 years now, so I have people that are in their 40s that used to be in their 20s. I have people that were in their single digits, and they're in their 20s. It's fun to see people grow up and to have that relationship with my patients. It's pretty cool that I can help them and get to see them grow up. And every 6 months, I get to kind of reconnect on what they're up to, and what I like to live through my patients sometimes and find out what they're doing on vacation, what they're up to, and it just makes it more fun.
Yeah. I think about the mortgage industry and how many regulations we had in continuing education stuff. And I'm sure that it's a minuscule amount of regulation versus what you have to deal with in dentistry.
Yeah.
So has there been any, Las Vegas local or state or federal compliance and stuff like that you're like, oh man, this is the worst part about being a business owner?
There's a lot, OSHA is, there are a lot of regulations that don't make a lot of sense. And we're always like trying to go above and beyond, and to never be in that questionable zone where we're even close to worrying about them. And that's where things are a lot better for us, because we stay ahead of the game, and we do the necessary training. All my staff has to train on everything so that they know proper infection control and safety protocols and the chemicals and labeling everything. A lot of it is necessary and important. Those regulations help us to be safe.
Right.
Some of the regulations can be overbearing, and I can pick them apart. But there's a point to having so much regulation in medicine and dentistry. It's really about patient safety.
Yeah. When I talk to people and tell them that we moved from LA to Vegas, which I know you also talked your wife into moving up here from LA. I don't know how you did that, because I barely was able to talk to my wife. We were married with kids. She had to come with me, but like you talked to your girlfriend into moving up here.
Yeah.
But when people are like, oh, you moved to Vegas? I'm like, well, one, I don't live on the Strip. Because people just think like, oh, you must live right behind the wind. It's like, no, Henderson is just like any other suburb in America, other than when I went to 7-Eleven today to get my weekly soda. There's some weirdo at the slot machine, and I kind of have to explain to Gabe that maybe if you're gambling at 2:30 on a Friday, your life didn't go so well. But other than that, it's like, this is a great community to live in. Like, what do you like most about living in Henderson?
Well, I like where we're at. We're in Green Valley, and we can walk to the district. Great restaurants, amazing restaurants. We just checked.
Bad restaurants don't make it today. Don't make it in the city.
You need a good pizza place. The Prince Street Pizza is so good.
Prince Street Pizza.
Yes.
That was going to be my next question. Do you have any secret gems that
you should interview them? It's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's the secret gem. The Prince Street Pizza, good, like New York slice. It's just awesome. Like they actually use purify. It's labeled New York water. they're purifier. So they're purifying some of the minerals out of our water. And that's one of the differences between like Vegas pizza versus New York pizza is our water is different. Our West Coast is all highly mineralized water,
right,
versus New York, which has a different type of water. And that's why their pizza crust comes out different. It's crispier. Anyhow, Prince Street Pizza, check it out.
Okay.
I like all the places that we have to eat that are close by. I like being able to walk into my neighborhood. We've got tree-lined streets in our area, and it was the only area that Jenny would move to coming from Orange County that was green enough for her. Now that she's evolved and she's lived here long enough, she's now like, okay, let's move out to the desert. Let's go to like a ranch style house in the desert, because she's come to appreciate the beauty of, cacti and brush and the rocky ridges. And there is something beautiful. The sunsets, sunrises, when the light hits it right. It rained today, go outside, look at the ridges of the mountain. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that you're a lifetime local here, which for some reason I didn't know, because I do kind of worry, raising kids in Las Vegas, just because every temptation you can imagine is 18 minutes away.
Right.
And so like, it's good to know that some dentist came out of here.
You're viewing it from like a 20-year-old's eyes.
Right.
Yeah. Things are different when you have a family. The suburbs in Vegas area are very different from the Strip. The Strip is a street.
Right.
You don't want to take your kids to the Strip? Don't take them to the Strip.
Right.
There's a whole city around it.
You're right. My whole 20s was like coming up here from LA every couple weekends and like just debaucherous. So yeah, my view of what Vegas is for a young man is different than what we're raising our kids to partake in.
I mean, at some point in the later teen years, when I was 16, that's when I started to discover, there's this thing. I live in a cool place,
Right.
this strip, and we thought it was cool to go down there. But, it's really about family. You build the character in your kids, and they learn boundaries. And just like today, we have technology that you and I probably didn't grow up with.
Right.
These kids are growing up with things that are in their faces that are a lot more damaging, a lot scarier than what's going on the strip.
Yeah.
And so as parents, we it doesn't matter where you live. You're going to have to do your job as a parent to connect with your children and communicate your values, help them understand, hey, this is why we live this way. This is why you're going to make these decisions. You're going to be happier if you kind of like try to make good choices.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't mention your recent TikTok talent challenge that went sideways. I know you obviously have a thriving business,
Or failure.
lots of relationships, but tell me a little bit about how like you're marketing in a modern way that might be applicable to other businesses out there outside of dentistry.
Well, we have our website. We connect with our patients in a way that encourages internal referrals. So that's our main source of new patients is other happy patients. So any other marketing we do is really secondary
Right.
to that core of really taking care of our people. And when we take care of our people, they want to refer their friends. When their friend has a toothache, hey, go to my friend Mark, he's going to help you out. That's a good office. And that's really where our biggest source of new patients is. But we're always looking to grow the business and help more people with what we do. And so recently we've kind of dived into some social media. Total failure. We tried to do a TikTok challenge, and the challenge, apparently there's this challenge going. I didn't know, but my staff informed me, hey, there's this running challenge, and there's a running challenge going on TikTok where you haven't seen your wife, you haven't seen your coworker, you haven't seen your friend ever run full speed. And they decided, hey, well, let's you've never seen the doctor, we've never seen our dentist run full speed. So I'm like, I run regularly. I mean, I do.
Yeah, you run all the time.
I do Spartan races. I do Spartan training at Camp Rhino. So I enjoy physical fitness. I enjoy keeping myself healthy. And, I would beware of anyone that doesn't keep themselves healthy, but they're trying to make you healthy.
Right.
So physical fitness is important to me. Well, I thought I got this challenge. I'm going to run down the street right next to my office. And I totally bit it when my hamstring tore. And it unfortunately completely tore, and I have to have surgery on Wednesday. So I'll be out for a few weeks. It's a good thing I have an associate. And it's been rough, man.
Oh, TikTok gone wrong.
Yeah.
Well, of all the
there was a failure.
All the TikTok challenges that could go wrong, that's probably the least violent one, right? At least you weren't in a car or something like that.
Check it out at the Smile Daddy.
The Smile Daddy.
That's my page on Instagram.
Okay, we'll do the Smile Daddy on Instagram and TikTok. We'll make sure you put that in the show notes. Hey, I wanted to ask when we close up here, like, I love what you said is like happy clients are the best source of referrals, right? Because I remember reading a marketing survey where if you do a great job, like world-class 5-star service for somebody, they'll tell 2 or 3 people. If you screw something up, they will tell like 27 people.
Right.
It's like 9 to 1, 10 to 1. And so it only takes a few unhappy clients, especially in a small community like Henderson or Green Valley, or even Las Vegas is smaller than people think. It only takes a few disgruntled people, a few bad reviews to like tank a business. And so can you talk a little bit more about, for any business out there that's just trying to create happy clients, like how do you do that structurally? Like obviously you have the right people and you're building the team and these are all lessons you've learned over the years, but like what's the strategy?
Right. So you brought up reviews, which is reviews are critical because that's the most public frame of reference for people that don't know you. They can read through the reviews and they know like this is what the public thinks about your office. And it's a good feedback mechanism for the business. So we look at, hey, how are patients feeling about the way that they were treated in our office? How are they feeling about the care? Or are there things that we need to be tweaked? Or is this someone who just refuses to understand that you owe money for the service that was provided?
Right. They're trying to get me to pay my bill. It's like, if I see that review, I'm just not ignore.
That doesn't mean we would ever dismiss those reviews. We take negative reviews just as important as those positive reviews. We look at it as a feedback mechanism, and we try to proactively prevent any negative feedback to the public because it just makes sense to solve problems before they become bigger problems.
Yeah.
So if a patient is disgruntled, or if they didn't have a good experience, or they thought the appointment was going to take less time, or that they thought it was going to cost as much it cost, that the insurance didn't pay for something that they thought the insurance was going to pay for.
Sure.
That can be devastating for a patient if they feel miscommunicated, misunderstood, or that they're not getting appropriate care, because they've trusted you, they've built rapport with you, and they are spending money to solve problems that may be painful problems. And the last thing they want is to feel like they're being dismissed, that they're not being listened to. So really, this is a skill that I've had to learn. It's listening without becoming defensive, because I know that I'm doing a good job. I know that I care, but the public may not know that. And so I can't act defensive. I have to listen, and I have to respond. And if I'm responding to a public review, I have to remember I'm not responding to that individual review. I'm responding to everyone that's listening. So I have to watch my words and be careful and be smart and show genuine concern, because that's really how I feel anyway. You should care about your customers, or you're not going to have them. And patients are just like customers of any other business. They have the right to go anywhere. And I feel respected that they choose to come to me. I'm happy that they come to my office. And so I want to treat that with respect in return, and make sure that they're listened to. And proactively, we seek out feedback. So we seek out feedback. We encourage people to tell others about their experience. And we want people, some offices will filter the reviews. So that means that they're going to have less reviews. They're going to have a lower number of reviews, but they'll have 5 stars because they filtered out anything that's negative. And they'll send a review request to only people that they know are going to say something nice.
Right.
In our office, we know we're treating everyone well. Everyone's going to get sent feedback requests. So everyone gets the request, which increases our number of reviews, which helps with our marketing, so to speak, in helping new patients find a dentist that they can connect with, a dentist that they can trust, and get their care taken care of in an efficient way.
You know, it's so funny because I have a feeling you and I were very similar when we were younger men, that we weren't good at taking feedback and weren't the best listeners. And, 30-year-old Scott would get a 1-star review and fly off the handle and be mean to everybody around me and yell at the client and post some nasty response. And it's like, it does nobody any good. Like
Right.
if we just listen and try to diffuse the situation. It's funny. There's a restaurant down the strip called Bavette's, and a buddy of mine who used to be a manager, restaurant manager at a really high-end restaurant, took a bunch of clients there. They had recently opened. He bought a huge group, and it was a cluster. I mean, plates come in at different times, and this steak was cold, and this steak was overcooked. It was a mess. So he politely messaged the manager on LinkedIn, and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to tear you up, but I used to manage this restaurant. I know what you're going through. Here's like 5 pieces of feedback I think you could do to improve your kitchen." Manager calls him within like half an hour. "Hey, I really appreciate the feedback. I want to hear what other feedback you have, and just listen." And so sure enough, next time he was in Vegas, he's like, "Hey, we got to go try this restaurant." Right. Even though he had a horrible experience, he's like, "We're going to this restaurant." We went, we had a great meal. We're not expecting this. And the manager came out and comped like $1,000 meal. And it was like, "Oh, I will talk about Bavette's from now until they decide to close down," because every restaurant has a shelf life. And that was one little experience of that guy picking up the phone and listening. And I've probably sent 100 people to Bavette's.
I mean, it's that same personality that there's personalities that want to share. My wife is one of those personalities. She's a salesperson. If she likes something, she wants everyone to know about it. Like if she's happy, everyone's going to know. And she wants other people. It's just like, join me on this thing that's good. And those people you have to treat like gold. You have to listen to them, because they're the people. You have to identify the people that want to share your message. And you have to make sure they're understanding your message, that you're receptive to those people. I mean, treat them as good as you treat everyone, but be particularly tuned in on, they have concerns. Make sure that they understand what you're all about. Make sure that those concerns are addressed.
Perfect. Give people the 30-second elevator pitch on why they need to come see the dentist. If they haven't been scared into coming to the dentist by now with the oral cyst and all this crazy stuff, scare people right now, if they've stuck around this long, on why they should come to modern dental care and get their teeth checked out.
Well, dentistry is not, it's not just the mechanics of taking care of your teeth. And dentistry is an avenue for you to create confidence in yourself. Dentistry is a way to project an image to others. It's a way to show your professionalism. It's a way to show your kindness towards other. When you smile at someone, it's showing you're displaying your heart. It's personal. And what do you want them to see? And there's so much judgment on appearances. We live in a society that sees the surface and doesn't dive in deep. And we're not communicating well as a society.
Right.
But one way that we do communicate is our external appearance. And when you smile, you're communicating health, you're communicating happiness, you're communicating confidence. And it's critical that you are having that tended to, that you have someone that you trust, that you know can help you do your best to display your most confident, beautiful smile. So that's what I do. I love to help people get that perfect 10 smile. And I would be honored with any patient that chose to come to our office at Modern Dental Care.
That's awesome, man. That's the way to end the podcast. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, it's Scott Groves with the Henderson HQ podcast. I hope you got something out of that episode. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps the show grow. And by the way, if you are a business owner or you know a business owner who has an interesting product, service, or just an interesting backstory, please get in touch with us. Email us at thehendersonhq@gmail.com. We would love to interview you because that's what this show is all about. It's about building community, supporting local, individually owned businesses, and just making Henderson a great place to live. And don't forget, go to hendersonhq.com and make sure you sign up for our newsletter. We send out a once-a-week newsletter, no spam, about the most interesting local businesses, hotspots, restaurants, community events. Thanks for watching the show. Really appreciate you.